welcome to a how-to video for SAP Business One for creating business partners in the system. Now, business partner master data is used to store information for your customers, vendors, and or leads. If you happen to track leads in your company, you can do that as well. Now, whenever you enter a business partner in the system, this gives you the ability to interact with them throughout different marketing documents such as sales orders, purchase orders, invoices, things of that nature. So we'll need this in place before we can move on to any of those other documents. Now, to create a business partner, it's all done in our business partner master data, and that is in our menu, and that's under menu, business partners, and business partner master data, and I already have it launched here. Now, whenever it does open up, it's going to open up in find mode. A tip off to that is this color here. It's looking for pieces of information that tie to current data in the system. So if I would type something in here that matches what I'm looking for, it'll bring up that business partner if it exists. But I don't want that for right now. What I want to do is add to the system. To add to the system, I'm going to open up business partner master data like I have, and in the icon bar, I'm going to click the icon for add. Now, to see how that toggled on and off, over here is fine, and it'll switch back and forth if that's what you were trying to get to there. Now, a piece of information that is mandatory in the system is a code. This is your internal code of what you identify this business partner as. So right now it's on manual mode, but just know that you can customize this and you can auto increment it as well if you would like. That's all done under document numbering, but for right now we have manual. So I'm going to put in a code, and I'm going to do a customer, and just know if you were doing a customer, vendor, or lead, this is where you would change that to enter that piece of information there. Now, the next field down is our name. So what is the name of this customer? We're going to call it a test company for this scenario here. But this will be the name that goes along with the code that you'll usually see in the description for a display. Now, foreign name is the next field down, and just know in the system here there are fields that you may or may not use. What you're seeing is everything on full display and with nothing hidden here, but if you find that it would create more confusion to have a lot of these fields available, you have the ability to hide these through UI configuration in the system there, and so you can only show what the fields that your company will actually use for business partners. But for a name, it's an additional field here that you can use for an additional identifier if it happens to have one. If not, the recommendation would be to hide that. Now, next field down here is groups. You have the ability to group your business partners. You can select one from the list here, or you have the ability to define new. Now, this will be used for data collection if you'd like to separate them out by a group if you have a need for that. You can select currencies. You can define new there as well, and you can put in federal tax ID if that's something that you track. Now, on the General tab here, I'm going to skip over a few things, but the point of this General tab is some more data on this company. So, telephone number, email addresses, websites, some more data points for industry, type of business, an additional alias name. There's some additional fields here. If you have a sales employee that you'd like to make as the default for that company, you can do that. Otherwise, this is just kind of some data points here. Moving on down, we have active, inactive, and advanced. You can make this business partner active. You can actually set a from and a to range on here, so they'll automatically deactivate after a certain time. Same with inactive. In advanced just opens up some more options here, kind of a combo of both. But we want an active business partner here so that we can interact with them in the system later. Moving on to the next tab here, we have contact persons. So for this company, we have the ability to add in contacts. So this is typically used for different positions within the company to where you'd want to store information like telephone numbers, email addresses, and so on. So we're going to put in a test ID. We're going to call this test first name, And you kind of get the picture going through here, but you can define kind of a profile for each individual person. Now on the left here, it's going to show, this is my contact ID, this is what shows on the surface here. So as we add more, we can define new, and it'll keep adding. We can also set a default. So if you'd like a default on this customer, you can set a default by highlighting one of the contacts and setting as the default there. Now next is the addresses tab, and you have the ability to put in bill to and ship to addresses. Now very similar function as the contact persons here, where you have an ID that'll display on the left, and you put in their bill tos and ship tos. Now this will this is where on like a delivery document that you can see a bill to or a ship to. This is where that information is going to come from here on Business Partner Master Data. So you'll want to define that on this tab. You do have the ability to add more than one bill to and ship to, and you have the ability to set a default. That's what will display on those types of documents. Next is our payment terms. So payment terms is some important information as far as what are their payment terms. You could set a price list if they have a specific price list that you want to tie them to. You can give them specific discounts, then some data points as far as credit limits, commitment limits. There is dunning in the system. And then some additional information. If they have, a bank that you want to interact with, you can store that information here. That's done under bank setup. Over here, you have the ability to define credit card information. Now, it's not stored as far as a full credit card information, but the last 4 digits type of thing. This is typically used whenever you do payments. You can select which credit card that they used on there to record that payment. Next tab is payment run. So here's house bank. So we can identify banks in here. This is also done in the bank setup. Next tab is accounting. So in accounting, you have the ability to consolidate to another business partner. You can, under the accounts here, you can define their receivable and payment advances accounts. This is where you'll define, so for instance, whenever we need the accounts receivable, it'll automatically define this as the GL account for the accounts receivable domestic here. Like I said, there is dunning in the system. You can block that if you'd like. Currently, there's no dunning set up for this business partner. Properties. Now, properties is just some additional information if you happen to track it. It's as simple as a yes, no. So if you have some properties, those are defined in the menu under properties and setup. But you can set those up and you can simply check yes or no. And what you use this for is, again, just some data points if you'd like to track some different properties on a business partner. Remarks tab is typically used for just an empty text box. An empty text box that you can put in any type of information that you'd need just to track on this business partner. There is the ability to add an image. So if you have a logo, something like that you'd like to put in here, you can insert an image. It'll display on this tab if you import one. Lastly is attachments. Attachments, you can put in different types of documents, PDFs, Excel, Word, anything that pertains to this business partner that you'd like to hold on to and store on the business partner themselves. You can browse. It will bring up your local computer and you can put them in there. Or if there was information in here, you could click and display, delete, so on and so forth. Now, everything that covers all the tabs of what we would need. Now, the last piece here is at the bottom left, you can click Add, and what this does is it adds it to the system. Now, our business partner has been created, and now you can interact with them in the system. Thank you for watching this video. As always, please reach out to us here at Support One with any questions. Click on the link to subscribe for more content.